The Atlanta Braves have had trouble getting prospects on national top 100 lists, but there is a flood of talent coming up that has the chance to do so. We'll talk about it on today's episode of Locked On Braves, so let's get into it.
You are Locked On Braves, your daily Atlanta Braves podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome back to Locked On Braves, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your favorite Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I'm your host, Jake Mastroianni. You can follow me on social media at shortstopball. Check out the podcast there at LockedOn_Braves on X and Locked On Braves on Instagram. If you're new and watching this on YouTube, please stop what you're doing real quick. Hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button, leave me a comment down below. It helps us out a ton whenever you do those things. And thank you so much for your support there. And on the audio side, you can help out as well. Just leave a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. You do so, tag me on social media. Let me know. I would love to read some of those comments if they're good. If not, just refrain from doing so. But thank you for all your support here from Locked On Braves, making us your first listen of each and every day, and to all my everydayers out there. Today's episode, we're going to be minor league heavy. We're going to talk about prospects who I think can be on a top 100 list as early as next year. I think the Braves got a chance to get several guys on there. We'll also take a look at what happened around the minor league system last week, and got a spicy question at the end of it too from one of our listeners that we'll get to on today's episode, which is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is around the corner. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now. So I want to have a discussion this week. Last week, we talked, obviously, as we normally do, talked about prospects and some of the top prospects who are coming up, prospects that could win Rookie of the Year very soon, next season even, or in the coming years. This week, I want to talk about prospects that could get on the top 100 prospect list, because that's tied into winning Rookie of the Year. What we talked about last week, you want to get that incentive to get that extra draft pick, then you got to have players that are on top 100 list. And that's something the Braves have struggled with. And quite honestly, it might not be the fairest way to do it. I don't necessarily know what other thing you can do, and just say any rookie, that you start the season with, that starts the season with you get that incentive. But this is just an overarching gripe, and I'm not trying to celebrate, your local Locked On podcast, but I think it's where I go to for my information, because national media, as much as they do as good a job as they can of covering all 30 teams, it's just impossible. You can't simply know all the prospects of all 30 teams like that. You want to actually know who the best prospects are in your system? Follow the guys like the guys over at Battery Power. They do a fantastic job of covering minor league players. Follow your local podcast and guys who are actually very heavily involved in covering your team and their prospects each and every day. And so that's just an overarching gripe on, not a gripe. It's what I believe. I'd much rather hear what some everyday podcast or even some weekly podcast of somebody who watches my team each and every day. I'd rather hear what their take is on my team than some national media member that maybe watches them once a month. It's never made sense to me. I get why it happens, and why you have national media members and outlets like that, but you're taking and look, some of these guys at these media outlets, they have scouts who they talk to in the system, and they certainly can give you good nuggets about the players and everything, but they can't be as invested on every single team like somebody else who is only following that team every single day. Even if they try to break it up and they have certain guys who are following, a certain division, it's not going to be as good of what you can get for guys who watch these minor league players every single day. And there are some out there for the Braves that do that. But that's just a side note, a soapbox, I guess, if you would, because in order to get this incentive, you have to have that player has to be on a top 100 prospect list. It has to be on 2 of Baseball America, ESPN, and MLB Pipeline's top 100 prospect list entering the season. Now, Drake Baldwin was, as we talked about last week, and that's why the Braves are eligible to get an extra draft pick if Drake Baldwin were to win the Rookie of the Year this season. So how can they do that in the future? That's what I wanted to look at today, is how or who can get on a top 100 prospect list next year or in the years to come to give the Braves more opportunities at winning this, because they have a rookie in there almost every year, It's just those guys aren't usually in the top 100 entering the season because a lot of them are moving up so quickly they don't have time to get on these lists. But also, I just think national media probably doesn't do as good a job as covering these guys. We all knew who Michael Harris was. You were a Braves fan. You were following Braves closely. You knew who Michael Harris was. You knew about Spencer Strider and these guys. Maybe Schwellenbach kind of came out of nowhere a little bit for many of us. I mean, we all knew how good he was. I had him in my top 10 rankings, but I didn't think he would move up that quickly. But who are some prospects for the Atlanta Braves who we could see on a top 100 prospect list as soon as next year that could have a chance of helping them get this incentive and get another draft pick? Now, full disclosure, I don't have access to Baseball America. I'm not a subscriber there. I'm sure they do great work. I got to cut the subscriptions off somewhere. So I don't have their top 100. Anybody want to let me know in the comment section down below if there are any Braves players on that top 100. I did a quick search, couldn't find it. And, it is paid content. I hate to just give out free content, paid content for free like that. But MLB Pipeline, ESPN, I do have access to. And the Braves have one guy who is on both of those lists, and that is Caminiti. Didier Fuentes appears on ESPN's top 100 list. So, if Caminiti were to come up next year, assuming he remains on these lists and their preseason rankings and win Rookie of the Year, then the Braves will be eligible for a draft pick. Don't think that's going to happen. But for Fuentes, that's important because he's already on one list. If Pipeline or Baseball America were to put him on one of their lists too, and he's already on the 40-man roster, rookie status for next year, then that could be an opportunity for the Braves to get another pick out of that. But let's look at some other prospects who could find themselves on this list at the beginning of next year or maybe at the end of next year. The obvious one is Hurston Waldrep if he retains his rookie status, which I don't know that that's going to happen. Trending right now that it's not going to be the case. But if it were, especially if he continues on the run that he's had, I find it hard to believe that a first-round pick who's been in a top 100 list before has a run like this at the big league level and retains his rookie status. It would be kind of crazy if he's not on a top 100 prospect list. So we'll see. Again, it's trending towards he's going to lose his rookie status this year. But we'll see what happens there with Hurston Waldrep. Outside of him, the next obvious one to me is J.R. Ritchie. And I'm kind of surprised that Ritchie's isn't getting more love nationally as a 35th overall pick. Sometimes those higher draft picks, they're just automatically going to get a little boost because they were picked earlier. He has a career 3.00 ERA and a 1.04 whip and 189 innings with just over 200 strikeouts. And with the ascent that he's made this year, especially, coming back from the injury late last year, and then what he's done this year, moving all the way up to AAA and looking dominating there as well, other than this last outing, which we'll talk about later. It could be a reason for that. Hopefully he finds his way onto two of these lists because I think he could be up next year, and I think he could be potential Rookie of the Year material. So hopefully we see J.R. Ritchie get a chance. Tate Southisene, obviously, who they just took in the first round. As I mentioned, top picks usually will get a little bit of a boost in these rankings. He's only played 2.5 games as I'm recording this on Friday night before we leave for vacation. But, if he were to have a solid showing at Augusta this year and show off some of those loud tools, there's a chance he could be on a top 100 list, but he's probably more so for the next season. And it's not like he's going to come up and debut next year either. So not as, doesn't need to be as quickly, but I think he has the talent and potential to be on a top 100 list. And that's really what I'm doing here. I'm calling out players that I think have top 100 potential. Fuentes, we already talked about. He's on a list right now. Obviously a terrible debut, but I think most national media members understand he was 20 and probably won't hold that against him. He went back down to AAA and looked great. He is injured right now at the moment, unfortunately. But I think there's a chance. Again, he's already on one. He could get on another one, and he could be a big part of the Braves rotation next year, potentially. Owen Murphy, again, another guy with first-round pedigree that would give him a boost if he performs, and he is more than performing. Obviously, had he not gotten injured in 2024 when he got off to that fantastic start, he's probably already on a top 100 list. But he's come back. He's looked as dominant as he was before the injury. If he continues that up the rest of this year, I got to imagine he's getting some top 100 consideration going into next season. Diego Torrens, it's unfortunate he got hurt, that he hasn't been playing for a while in the DSL level, but he was off to a great start. Again, guy who had a big signing bonus. That's going to help you in these rankings. That's what I guess makes it so uncomfortable with these rankings, is that a lot of time it is, so that guy got 3.5 million. They must think he's really good. He's off to a hot start. Let's make him a top 100 prospect. I mean, that's kind of the way these lists are going to work. But Torrance did get off to a great start, and he was a high-priced international free agent. So I think there's a good chance that he could be on a top 100 list, if not at the beginning of next year, but maybe the year after that. If he comes into the FCL level next year, stateside, and does really well, gets the bump up to Augusta and plays well there, kind of like what I was hoping for Jose Perdomo this year. But if Torrance is able to do that next season, I think we see him on a top 100 list going into the 2027 season. Now, I want to talk about some others that I think have the potential. But first of all, that is 7 players that at least I think, and again, I'm probably biased, but I also know these prospects better than a lot of national media members do. That's 7 players, at least 7 players in the Braves system that I think have top 100 talent that could be on a top 100 list. I mean, for a farm system that is viewed by many as not being great, that's pretty fantastic. Look, I don't think any of those guys I just mentioned are top 50 types of talent. Maybe Southisene, maybe Torrance, maybe even Fuentes, but I think those are top 100 tops of talent. Even if they're not in the top 100, they're probably at least in that discussion. So I think that's a very good thing for the Atlanta Braves. Now, some others, Jhancarlos, Lara, if he's able to make that transition back to a starter and continue what we saw as a reliever, I mean, the stuff is huge. That is top 50 type of talent if he can carry that as a starter. Alex Lodis, I'm not as high on him as even some of the national evaluators, but because he is a higher draft pick, he has the pedigree of a college. If he as a college player, if he were to get off to a good start, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets some top 100 consideration. Briggs McKenzie, again, probably not for a year or two, but the Braves obviously thought a lot of him, signing him to that big deal, out of the draft. Kind of like Ritchie and Murphy, might take him a little while, but once he does get there, I think he has certainly the ability to be on a top 100 list. And then Connor Essenberg, the high school hitter they just took in this last draft as well. Hearing a lot of excitement about him. Maybe it's just the new shiny toys. They just drafted him. We obviously haven't even seen him in professional games yet. And it could take a while, but he is somebody that potentially down the road could be a top 100 prospect. So again, you're talking 7 to 10 guys there for the Braves in the system that have a real shot of being a top 100 prospect. I think that bodes well for this Atlanta Braves farm system. All right, next we'll take a look at some other prospects, including some of the ones we just talked about that had some great weeks last week. We'll get into that here next. August 26th, that's today, is FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week 1 even kicks off, this is your moment. Or you can parlay your division winner dark horses. You got somebody you've been eyeing for that MVP race. Maybe it's Bijan Robinson or whoever your favorite Atlanta Falcons player is. You can do that on FanDuel's Futures Day, August the 26th. Also, make sure you visit FanDuel.com/playsafe for tools and resources to help you stay in control of the way you play. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now, because Futures Day is one day, and that one day is today, August 26th, and one day only. FanDuel, play your game. Thank you, as always, making Locked On Braves your first listen of each and every day. Go check out Locked On MLB for your second listen of the day. Solely getting you caught up with everything happening around the league. The guys from MLB Game Night do a fantastic job talking about the biggest games each and every day as we gear up for the postseason, the final regular season month of the season. It is upon us here. As far as what's happening here on Locked On Braves the rest of this week, we will be off the rest of the week's last pre-recorded content I have for you. I will be back on late Thursday, but probably we'll just do another mailbag episode on Friday. So get your questions ready for that. We get enough. Maybe I'll do another 2-part mailbag episode to make up for being out this week. But hopefully you all had a fantastic week, and Lindsay will obviously have you covered on the postcast. I'll get into some of the minor league spotlight players from last week. Now, I am recording this on Friday night, so these are not complete for the entirety of last week. Some of these are even halfway through some games on Friday night, but I wanted to go ahead and at least mention some of these guys. Ed Gwinnett, Jesus Bastidas, he continues his hot stretch since coming over 6 hits and 2 home runs. Again, all these stats up and through part of the games on Friday night. Carlos Rodriguez, 4 hits, a double, and a home run. And David McCabe, who got bumped up to AAA, one of the bright spots that we've seen for the Braves this season, 5 hits, a home run, and a double. In his first 3.5 games, Ed Gwinnett, and then Eddie Leonard, who I mentioned every week on here for the past 3 or 4 weeks, 3 hits, 2 home runs, and a double. So 3 hits, all extra base hits, again, through Friday's action. On the pitching side, J.R. Ritchie, 3 1/3, 4 hits, 5 walks, 5 earned runs, 3 strikeouts. Definitely his worst start, but it looks like they may have been just trying some things with him. He threw 20 sinkers, 14 four-seamers, and 12 cutters in this one. And his previous start, it was 49 sinkers, 5 cutters, and 5 four-seamers. So you never know really what they have them working on. Obviously, he's been great all year. He's been great at AAA. Maybe the Braves were having him work on some things, working on that cutter and four-seamer, mixing them in a little bit more. But 5 walks, pretty unlike J.R. Ritchie. Again, I think he's already done a lot to prove he's deserving of an opportunity or a chance at some point. I don't know that it's going to come this year. It's not looking like it's going to, but I think he's going to come in spring training with a little bit to show that if there is a need and opportunity, that J.R. Ritchie is ready. Blake Burkhalter coming out of the bullpen again, 3 innings, 1 hit, 1 walk, no earned, 4 strikeouts, his best appearance in a while. And Hayden Harris, 2 innings, no hits, no walks, no earned, 1 strikeout. Carlos Carrasco, 6 innings, 6 hits, 2 walks, 1 earned, and 4 strikeouts. Wouldn't be surprised we see Carlos Carrasco again at some point this year. All right, down to Columbus, and just a reminder, I'll keep reminding you, these are through Friday, halfway through Friday's games are the numbers that I'm giving you here. So whatever happened, the rest of Friday, Saturday, and Sunday is not included. But Patrick Hlowicki has been great since getting called up to Columbus, 5 hits and a home run. Adam Zabrowski, 5 hits and 2 doubles. On the pitching side, Landon Harper, 5 innings, 6 hits, 3 walks, 3 earned, 4 strikeouts. Lucas Braun, 6 innings, 7 hits, 1 walk, 2 earned, and 7 strikeouts. Roldy Munoz, an inning and 2/3, a hit, no walks, no earned, and a strikeout. Drew Hackenberg, 4 2/3 innings, 3 hits, 5 walks, 1 earned, 7 strikeouts. Just feel like a lost year at this point for Drew Hackenberg. Just kind of recover and hopefully get back at it next year. Been a rough season for Mr. Hackenberg. Blaine Abieta, 2 1/3 innings, no hits, no walks, no earned, 1 strikeout. And Ryan Barassa, 2 innings, no hits, no walks, no earned, and 1 strikeout. A couple of good bullpen arms there for the Braves at Columbus. At Rome, Cody Miller continues to hit 4 hits. Isaiah Drake, 4 hits. Colby Jones, 4 hits. Some good hitting prospects there at Rome right now. And Alex Lodis, a pair of doubles on the week. On the pitching side at Rome, Luke Sennard, 5 innings, 2 hits, 1 walk, no earned, and 8 strikeouts. And then Herrick Hernandez coming out of the bullpen, 5 innings, 1 hit, 3 walks, no earned, and 9 strikeouts. And then at Augusta, Eric Hartman has 4 hits. Tate Southisene got his professional debut. And in his first 2.5 games, 1 hit by pitch in 9 at-bats. Dixon Williams, a prospect that maybe unheralded, kind of like Cody Miller, guys that maybe weren't thought much of in the draft, but some hitters that have really come in and done well and are getting a little bit of love. Dixon Williams, 2 doubles and a home run last week for Augusta, again through Friday's action. And then on the pitching side, Ethan Bagwell, 6 2/3, 7 hits, 1 walk, 1 earned, 2 strikeouts. Cam Caminiti, 5 innings, 5 hits, 3 walks, 2 earned, and 4 strikeouts. And Kendi Richard, 4 2/3 innings, 4 hits, 2 walks, 3 earned, and 5 strikeouts. The DSL had only played 1 game last week for the Braves. At least at the time of this recording on Friday night. Gabriel Sessa went 2 for 5. Angel Carmona, 1 for 3 with 2 runs and 2 walks. Emmanuel Campos, 4 for 4 with 2 runs and RBI. Juan Espinal, 1 for 2 with a home run, showing some good power there. Some pretty interesting bats that we've seen come through the DSL level this year. Not just Diego Torrens, but some others as well, including Michael Martinez, who got bumped up to the FCL level halfway through. So some exciting stuff coming out from the Dominican Summer League. And then Roddy Reyes, 4 innings, 5 hits, 1 walk. Good to see that. Just 1 walk for him, but did have 5 hits along with that, but only 1 earned run and 5 strikeouts. So a lot of good stuff happening down on the farm for the Atlanta Braves. I'm really encouraged by seeing a lot of these bats really start to get it going in the Braves system. That's exciting to see, as we know they've got it covered on the pitching side of things. All those top 100 prospects that I mentioned, most of them are pitchers. But good to see some position players, like David McCabe, the guys they just drafted, Cody Miller, Dixon Williams, and others really starting to come up and make a name for themselves and do some good things. And I'm curious to see what happens with this Bastidas guy that the Braves just got, who's at AAA right now. They're going to have to protect him from the Rule 5 draft this upcoming year and the way that he is hitting. And he was hitting good at AAA for the Astros as well before the Braves acquired him. I don't think he's any more than a bench utility type of player, but we'll see. He has come over and just been red hot right now. Isaiah Drake, too, another hitter that's really made some strides this season with the plate approach. He's cut down his strikeout rate nearly 10%, going from 32 to 22, so getting it to, a good place from an awful place. But it's been impressive to see what he's been able to do this year. Eric Hartman, another good bat. Owen Carey, who hadn't had a good week, at least at the time of this recording. John Hill, some other good hitters down there at Augusta. So really exciting to see the position players for the Atlanta Braves start to pick things up. All right, next, I'm going to give you some more on that because I'm going to tell you who my top 5 hitters and pitchers are in the system right now if they reach their 99th percentile. We'll get into that here next. Time to fuel up and turn it up with 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. This grape, ginger, and lime flavored shot brings the iconic taste of a golf course favorite to a non-alcoholic boost. Perfect for sinking birdies or making great memories with friends. It's a hole-in-one for your energy game. Whether you're out on the course or just need a little extra push to power through your day, 5-Hour Energy Transfusion delivers the clubhouse flavor you love without ever leaving the green. And golf is all about good times with good people and good flavors. The grape, ginger, lime flavor of 5-Hour Energy Transfusion gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without leaving the course or chasing down the bev cart. My parents are going to be helping watch our kids while me and the wife are out on our vacation. I might need to drop off some 5-Hour Energy Transfusion to help them get through the week. And you can amp up the fun as well. Just buy, snap, and enter for a chance to win a dream golf trip for 2 to any golf tournament. More vacation for me and my wife. All we got to do is enter here and go to any trip for 2 to any golf tournament in the U.S., excluding the Masters. And you can enter for that at 5hewin.com. Tee up for that trip. Visit 5hewin.com for full rules and entry. No purchase necessary. Again, excludes the Masters tournament, and this ends October 31st, 2025. So a leftover question I had from last week's mailbag coming from Matthew Hoffman. He said, who are the top 5 prospects, both positionally and on the pitching side, if everyone hits their 99th percentile potential? Caminiti, Torrens, Miller, Hartman, Reyes. Thanks for answering the question. Thank you for asking this question. I think it's fun. And obviously that's how I do my rankings anyway. When I do my top 10 and, usually every February before the season begins, I do my rankings based on ceiling. If they hit their peak ceiling, that's how I do my rankings, which is where I had Hurston Waldrep, not at the beginning of this year, but the beginning of the year before that as the top one. Because if everything clicks for him, I thought he had a chance to be a top of the rotation arm. So that's normally how I do my rankings anyway. But there's been an influx of talent this year. As I just said, it's been really exciting to see all this talent for the Atlanta Braves at the lower levels really start to creep in. And maybe it is just the newness of some of these guys. And some of it is they're at the lower levels where they can, you see prospects do good there sometimes and get up to AA and they just fall flat and filter out. But I think because all the hitters I'm going to give you, none of them are above A ball right now. So it's a lot of hopes and dreams on some of these guys, but I think it's warranted. And I think in the case of like an Isaiah Drake, you've already seen him start to make some of those improvements. So this was the list that I put together. My top 5 hitters right now. And number 1, I put Tate Southisene. I mean, obviously, I'm a little skeptical of the swing just because it is a little unorthodox, but I was skeptical of Drake Baldwin's swing too. And that's turned out really well. If you're used to it, you can make it work. You know how to make it work. Hunter Pence was a really good hitter. And I don't think anybody is teaching their kids how to swing a bat like that. But just because of the tools and the power and speed potential, I think he's maybe the one guy in the system that has 30-30 potential someday. So Tate Southisene goes to the top for me. At number 2 is Diego Torrens. And he's somebody that maybe doesn't have 30-30 potential, but I think he has 20-30 potential. And when I'm ranking players and when I'm thinking 90th percentile or 99th percentile, and I'm looking for best outcomes as a player, I'm looking for somebody that can, obviously do it in all facets. I want somebody that I think can hit 270, 280, hit 20 to 30 home runs, steal 20 to 30 bases. That's the type of player I'm looking for. So You're not going to see a David McCabe on this list, even though I think he could be a good hitter and, might see him in the big league sooner rather than later. But it is a lot of one-dimensional type of talent for a David McCabe. Might be really good and great at that, but it's a one-dimensional talent. And I like to see the more well-rounded type of players. Isaiah Drake, I have number 3 on this list. And again, he's already made great strides from last year to this year. I mean, last year, it was similar to Ambrose Taveras, just looked completely lost. Swing decisions were awful, striking out way too much, and he's already made huge strides in that department. Now, there's still a ways for him to go, getting into some power and all of that. And he may never be a huge power guy, but somebody that maybe could hit 10 to 15 home runs, still 40 bases. I mean, he's got that type of speed and hit 270, 280 for you. I think that's the 99th percentile outcome for an Isaiah Drake. Eric Hartman. And look, if you were having a debate right now on which hitter at Augusta is most likely to reach their potential and get to the big leagues, there may be 3 or 4 guys ahead of Eric Hartman. But you look at the tools for an Eric Hartman, and I think there is some definite power to come. He's already stolen over 40 bases. The hit tool might not quite be there. It might be more 250, 260-ish, but 20 to 30 home runs, 20 to 30 stolen bases along with that. I think Eric Hartman has some huge upside. And then this one is just purely based on hopes and dreams, but Connor Essenberg. Again, already hearing a lot of good things about him, what he's doing down at the complex there where, it's just kind of scrimmage games, but you're hearing really good things about this guy. And it's a high school hitter, so it is something to dream on. So that would be my top 5 hitters right now, just based on pure 99th percentile. And the thing is, trying to put that list together, there were several other names that I considered. And I think that's a really great thing right now for this Atlanta Braves farm system, is that there are a lot of guys that you can pick from. On the pitching side of things, at number 1, I put Jhancarlos Lara. I've been huge on him for a while now, and I believe it was 2 years ago, after the 2023 season. So going into 2024, I think I had him as a top 5 prospect in the Braves system. It was after he had the breakout second half of 2023, a lot of hype on him in the offseason, and then he was slowed coming into 2024, didn't have a great year, and the command issues came back that had plagued him earlier on in his career. And so he'd kind of fallen out of favor, but the stuff is there. The stuff is unhittable. It's just can he throw enough strikes, and can he do it as a starter? And you're talking 99th percentile for Jhancarlos Lara. You're talking about a guy who could be a starter, throwing triple digits with just a ridiculous slider, unhittable type of stuff. You're looking at, Spencer Strider type of pitcher. So Jhancarlos Lara is number 1 for me if everything were to click. Now, I think that's unlikely. He is still really young. So, it could eventually happen. But I think the most likely outcome is that they eventually just move him back to the bullpen where he's a really good closer. Didier Fuentes is second on the list. I just think the stuff is really good. He's still so young, even younger than Lara. So I think there's a lot of upside there for Fuentes too. I don't see him as an ace. I think Lara is the only one right now that I would project has ace potential in the system. But Fuentes certainly has some 2-3 upside. Waldrep is third on this list. Again, as I said a couple of years ago, I had him ranked first overall in the system just based on the upside. And we're starting to see a little bit of that now, as I talked about on the podcast last week. I'm skeptical he's going to be a sub-1 ERA type of guy going forward, but I still think with the new mechanics and the pitch mix, he's got the ability to be a solid middle rotation guy. Caminiti, again, I feel like he's a pretty safe bet to be a mid-rotation guy. And then Briggs McKenzie. The Braves obviously feel very confident in him and this pick, kind of with Essenberg. And again, maybe I'm just recency bias coming off the draft and the new shiny toy type of thing. But the Braves invested a lot in this kid. And, they're obviously great at developing pitching talent. So I'm kind of just buying into what the Braves are seeing in Briggs McKenzie and that he could be a really good arm one day. So again, I didn't even mention Owen Murphy or J.R. Ritchie or Lucas Braun, a lot of other really good pitching prospects in this system. So I'm really excited with where the Braves farm system is right now and just the depth of, I think, really high quality talent that they have. Again, some of these guys might not be MVPs. They might not be Cy Youngs, but there is a lot of really good talent in the Braves farm system that I'm excited to see. The position player side, it is all very young and it is a lot of hopes and dreams, but I think those dreams are valid and warranted. And I can't wait to see what some of those guys do next season. All right, let me know what you think about these guys. Let me know who your top 5 position players and pitchers are in the Braves system right now. Would love to hear from you. But that will do this episode of Locked On Braves. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube if you're new. Hit that thumbs up button. Leave me a comment down below. Make sure that you rate, review, and subscribe to the Locked On Braves podcast wherever you get your podcast. And we will talk to you.